TNA Wrestling crosses that line again as we are on the victory road to Bound for Glory. Victory Road coming up in a few short weeks' time. And then, of course, Bound for Glory in October, headlined one last time by the Hardy Boys against the Dudley Boys. But of course, we can't get there without talking about Impact. Impact this week kicks off with the TNA heavyweight champion, NXT's Trick Williams, and him and Santana basically just had a promo to start the match and to start the show. Sorry, Trick Williams saying that he's the man carrying both brands. Not quite sure if there's truth to that, but he certainly is the TNA champion. And, Santana basically turned around and said he did turn TNA upside down. He pissed a lot of people off in the locker room. And Santana basically said that he's going to be the one that dethrones Trick Williams, essentially. But, the other thing that he did say with Trick, that Trick did say that I rated Santana was he didn't want to embarrass Santana in front of his family. Santana flips at this point, doesn't get a hold of Trick Williams, but he certainly, shall we say, tried to. And if you're gonna piss off Santana, you're probably gonna have to run. I still bet, and my prediction still stays the same. Santana will win the championship at Bound for Glory. That has always been my prediction, and it will still stay that way. Much like my prediction with Leon Slater becoming X Division champion in 2025. And much like that prediction, it will happen. Anyway, let's have a cup of the morning Joe. Cheers to you all. Going to be a busy weekend. They're hitting the turnbuckle, and we'll get into that in a minute. But all the four were backstage. Gia Miller was asking Ali for comments ahead of the big six-man match later on against the System. He basically said that, he would normally address the citizens of TNA, but he would like to address Gia, and he references Tessa Blanchard's assault on Gia Miller, and he says all the four feels that they've been disrespected by the System and Matt Cardona, and they vow that they all trust in Ali to end the segment, which is interesting. We saw that a few issues within all the four. A couple of months back, they now seem to be on track. The System, on the other hand, seemingly sort of on a losing run. They've regrouped in the past. More fans seem to like them more now, though. Interesting that the System have maybe switched into faces, but yeah, interesting for that one. It's weird to see people cheering for the System all of a sudden. But hey, I like it. I like the System. I think they're good. I like all the four as well. I think they're a great team, but it'll be interesting to see how it works out. That's for certain. Anyway, the aforementioned Trick Williams earlier on, he bumps into Santino Marella. He was about to leave with AJ Francis, and Santino's basically said he'll get one of his own liars to figure out the champion's contract clause, but that doesn't bar Williams from competing inside a TNA ring. And he sets up Trick Williams and AJ Francis versus Mike Santana and a mystery partner or to be announced partner for next week's Impact. Should be a good one. Now we finally get to some ring action. I will say that there was a lot of talking at the start of this Impact, and I kind of feel like I normally at the start you get that promo like I did with Trick, and then you walk into a match, or it's a match. So a little bit this I feel like that was a little bit disjointed. It could have gone the segment with Trick followed by the match, followed by maybe Trick leaving, then Order 4. I don't know. Anyway, this is a Knockouts Gauntlet match for a shot at the TNA Knockouts champion. Currently, JC Jane. Zaya Brookside and Killer Kelly started. Zaya Brookside pinning Killer Kelly, and then she faces Danny Luna, who pinned Zaya Brookside following a lunar landing. She then faces Rosemary, who she beats again. Rosemary, just side to side on Rosemary. She's going to be at KFW Crossfire Wrestling, an NWA territory show in October called Black Harvest, and she'll be going against Kylie Page, who is one of the best she's one of the best women's wrestlers out there at the minute, and she's 21 years old. Can't wait for that. Anyway, next up was Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell and Danny Luna had a great match on this, but she pinned Danny Luna, and Luna basically snapped at this point and attacked Indy. Now, Jody Fret was next, and she was questioning Danny Luna's antics, and she did it. And Luna was like, I've done this for you. Like, I've done this for you. Go and get her, win the match. You know, you're going to be the opportunity for the Knockouts champion. But as Jody Fret's checking on Indy Hartwell, Danny Luna has bought a chair in. And she was going to hit Indy Hartwell with a chair, and Jody Fret's no, like, I'll, basically stop her from doing it. And as she's done that and turned around, Danny Luna hits Jody Fret with the steel chair, and she's hitting her a lot. She's hit Indy Hartwell a lot in this. Security tries to intervene and get Danny Luna out. Here's the interesting point here. Because Danny Luna hit Jody Fret with the chair, it essentially disqualified Indy Hartwell from the match. So that means that Jody Fret won the match because Indy got DQ because the first chair shot hit Jody Fret. Crazy. I know, really crazy. I wasn't expecting that. But tell you what, this was a really good match, and the outcome took me totally by surprise. I didn't expect it. I kind of expected a Danny Luna heel turn, and I've said on this channel, I've said on this show before, Danny Luna would be a great heel. She's a great heel. She's a great wrestler. So pulling the trigger on that is a great thing for TNA. I think that will work wonders. I've all said this all along as well, that Indy Hartwell and JC Jane is what I see at Bound for Glory, and I see Indy Hartwell taking the championship from her at Bound for Glory. I've said that ever since Indy Hartwell was debuted, so it made more sense that Indy Hartwell doesn't win this match. The ending was very well done. It's very different from what we normally see on these things, so I'm very happy with that. Very happy with the ending. Everything's still going on. Obviously, this weekend, Ash by Elegance gets her shot at JC Jane at NXT Heatwave, and I fully expect JC Jane to retain the championship. Now, speaking of knockouts, we haven't finished with the knockouts, by the way. The Inspiration were backstage at this point having an interview. They basically said they were going to get their hands on the Elegance brand. They're going to get and win those Knockouts championships. But that led to a confrontation with Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix of Fatal Attraction. And then a little confrontation to cap off the segment. But again, my issue is there's a lot of talking on this. Because we go back and then it's Jody Fret. And she tells Santina Marella she doesn't deserve a shot in the Knockouts championship. Nor how she got it. And she asked Marella to maybe give the match to Indy. That brung Danny Luna. Until she keeps saying she did it for her. It's like the Rikishi bit. I did it for The Rock. It was Luna tells Jody that was her match and she lost before leaving. Well, she lost. It was her match, but she lost and then she left. So Marella and Jody Fret's wanting to give away her championship. I don't know. We'll have to see. I think Jody Fret just wins. Look, she got the match. She may not have liked the way she won it, but she won it. Fair play. Anyway, it's just me. Right. Ryan Nemeth makes an announcement. His brother Nick returns in 2 weeks. We know that. He was suspended again, by the way. That was the second time he's been suspended on TNA. Anyway, back to action finally. I have to admit, I was getting a little bit frustrated. First time ever, really. I've really enjoyed TNA. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the Knockouts Gauntlet, but like some matches, guys. Finally, we get one. Jake something. Frankie Kazarian. Good short burst of action between these two, to be honest with you. Kaz, for me, continues to perform, whether it's character work, whether it's in-ring work, at the highest level on TNA. But with Jake something, he is slowly establishing himself as a real quote unquote impact player here on TNA. I really like the military press transition to a body slam. I really enjoyed that. And you know, Jake something. I've said that before. We had Jake something on the channel, by the way. Playlists. Go and have a look. NEMFs. Go and have a look. Macklin. Look. Everything else. But I will say this as well. You got to remember, TNA Wrestling is on TNA Plus. TNA Plus app. Go and get it downloaded, get it subscribed. If you just want to watch Impact, just pay the basic package. If you want everything else, pay-per-views, TNA's archive, get the one-off championship package. You will be missing out if you don't, honestly. But as I go back to this match, Kazarian picks up the win with the fade to black. So there you go. Great work, great match. Liked it. A little bit too short, if anything. Excuse me. A little bit too short, if anything. Especially if we had a lot of talking so far on this. And speaking of talking, Mara Slade's there. Her and the Hardys have a little chat over artwork. Jeff wants to show us some artwork. And then we see Cedric Alexander. Now, Cedric Alexander and Leon Slater had an absolute barn burner at Emergence. One of the best opening contests you'll ever see on any wrestling show, period. But now they've shown some mutual respect to one another. They've done that at the end of the match at Emergence. And Cedric Alexander said to Leon, hey, you said at the end of that match that you want to team with me one day. And Leon's like, yeah, definitely. He said, well, I've just spoken to Santina Marella. And we've got a tag match next week. It's like, oh, great. Leon was like, wow. And he went, against the Hardy Boys. Leon a little bit sort of, confused, conflicted, but still agreed they were going to tear the house down next week. Excuse me. Wait, Hardy Boys, Slater, Alexander, take the money, TNA. That is going to be one hell of a tag match next week again. Brilliant. Can't wait for that. Backstage again, though, with Santina Marella, calls his lawyer Steve to discuss the Trick Williams contract. And speaking of Steve's, Macklin decides to show up and said he heard Santana wants a partner for next week. And Macklin is the man, and he makes it official. Macklin, Santana, Williams, Francis next week on Impact. Yes, please. Absolutely, yes, please. That's going to be another amazing match on TNA next week. Because matches are few and far between this week on TNA. Next is Jacy Jayne. She addresses her match at Heatwave against Ash by Elegance. Basically, Jacy Jayne says how she's a top star in both brands. Ash comes out at this point. She says, she's a 15-time WWE champion. She is 24/7 champion. It's a fact. And everyone's tired of seeing Jacy Jayne hold the belts. I'm not too sure about that. But obviously this, and they basically also mentioned Masha Slamovich, or Masha Slamovich, as Ash by ruled her on that as well. And it is crazy. And Masha come out. She said she'll get her title back at Heatwave as well, because that's triple threat. Apologies for earlier on. It is a triple threat. And all three women kicked off. Trading barbs, as they do. More conversations here on TNA. Tasha Steelz, Jason Hotch, John Schuyler. They mocked Mara Slade's painting. And Slade shows up with the Hardys. And she challenges Tasha Steelz to a match one-on-one next week. Matt Hardy calls Steve's a bitch for pumping order for to leave the room. So, Mara Slade, Tasha Steelz next week on Impact. Should be a good one. I keep writing notes here. More talking. Eric Young and Myron Reed. He says, AY says Myron needs in need of a change. He'll always be the third man in the Rascals, and he'll get benched as soon as Trey Miguel returns from injury. Wentz shows up and asked if everything's good, and Myron Reed's like, yep, fine. But Eric Young's got a match next week. We're getting loads of matches next week on TNA. Severe lack of them this week. And just to give you an example, matches on next week's Impact. Santana Macklin, Trick and AJ Francis, Eric Young, Myron Reed, The Inspiration versus Fatal Influence, Myra Slade, Tasha Steeles, and Cedric Alexander and Leon Slater versus the Hardys. The System and Matt Cardona versus Order 4. This was good. Like this. Really enjoyed this match, to be honest with you. And do you know what, though, right? Matt Cardona, TNA need to sign him. I don't know what if he's signed to a per appearance deal or what, but TNA need to sign Matt Cardona in this. I really believe that. He is looking so good. I think he came out to an interview recently and said, like, I don't know why I haven't been signed, and he's been performing a lot from TNA. I really hope that, is he pricing himself out? I mean, is he pricing himself out of being signed by a contract? I don't know. But I really want Cardona in TNA contract, even if it's for a year. It would be great. But yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't been, to be fair. But anyway, yeah, really good match. It was like a war between these two. They really did. They picked it up from the main event. The main event, this was really, really good. And the finish of the match just saw the great hands hit Brian Myers with the favor to win the match. But at the end of this, Order 4 continues to attack the System. Cardona gets taken outside the ring. Ali tells his Secret Service to pick up Moose so he can finish the job with a chair. JDC shows up. Agent Zero hits Agent Zero with a chair to the gut. He takes out another member of the Secret Service with a standing Van Daminator. I've put RVD. JDC performs a dive to take the Secret Service outside, on the outside of the ring. Ali gets in the ring. JDC's about to take him out of a steel chair, but Zero stands between him and Ali. And Zero plants JDC with a headbutt before planting him with a choke slam and onto the steel chair. And Order 4 stand tall as Moose struggles to escape the members of the Secret Service on the outside of the ring. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that main event. I thought the main event was really, really good. To be honest, the matches this week on Impact were all good. There was just a severe lack of them. The heel turn was so well done from Danny Luna. I really enjoyed that bit. That was all out chaos in that gauntlet match, which I really enjoyed. I will say this, and as much as I've slated it for a little bit for doing talking, they've done a fantastic job of building towards Victory Road in a few weeks. I will say that about TNA this week. They did a great job at that. Hold nothing against them for doing that. That was great. Enjoyed that. And I now feel like there's been a dominant heel faction change in TNA, and that is the faction of Order 4 is kind of taken over the System now as the top faction in TNA. And one wonders what will happen next week on Impact. We've run down the card for next week, but remember, TNA Plus, the only way to get TNA Wrestling. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed, get those packages, either the standalone package for TNA, which is about $9.99, or get the championship package. I know it's quite expensive, it's $120 odd, or £29 or whatever it is, but you will get all pay-per-views included in that. You will also get all of the archive from TNA in that as well. So it really is worth the money getting. Get in, just get whatever one you want. Buy the pay-per-view separately if you need to. It doesn't really matter. But get it downloaded, get subscribed, because you are missing out on some fantastic TNA action. Hitting the turnbuckle coming. Well, we're going to be tomorrow. Myself, David, Rachel, and Kevin will all be at Forbidden Door with our media credentials. Big thanks to AEW for that. Coming up on the show next week, we are back with our Exodus Pro takeover again. Merciless Lloyd Crew is on the show. The Princesa Tiffany Nieves joins us. And I'm also joined by a company who is making a new wrestling ball game in Slam Stars. All that and a whole lot more on the Hitting the Turnbuckle channel. So keep it locked at HTT Buckle on X, at HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on all other social media outlets. Do not also forget Buckle Up, September 21st, our third joint show with Ignite. Tickets are flying. We've had to open up additional seating for the show. So don't forget to go and see, get your ticket for that and come and see the best in British, like Charles Crowley. WWE tryout hopeful Will Cruz will also be there. Alexis Falcon debuts, and the antagonist Spike Trevay is also in attendance. What chaos will ensue when that happens? Get yourself a ticket. Go on Eventbrite. Type in "Buckle Up" for free. You'll see us. Also being there, one of the artists that does the cover songs, Will Scar, will be there as well. We're looking forward to that as well. Looking forward to it. Can't wait for that. But big thanks again to TNA Wrestling for everything they do for us as well. And we'll be back next week with another review of next week's Impact. And until then, everybody, cross the line and stay safe.